Welcome, everybody, to Autonomy Quest. Uh, During this event, you're about to meet two graduates. They will be performing an interview that will help you choose whether or not autonomy is right for you. The interview skill translates into the sales skills, which is a problem solving skill set, not pushing, persuading, convincing, or conniving, but just learning how to make contact, listen, make a better plan, and understand people, and then help them move forward. We teach this skill in autonomy because it's the key to meeting the others who have the answers to the questions you need to overcome the issues that they have. It's ethical sales and objective marketing in an ethical framework, and it starts with learning how to meet and greet people, doing the interview exercise, which also builds out the community. It's a wonderful way to start off the course when you get started. Toward the end of tonight's event, we will be offering free gifts that include past lectures of Richard Groves and links that lead to you to the Autonomy Primer and a link for you to book your own blueprint strategy call for success. And the Autonomy Primer is a detailed explanation of the Autonomy Course of Action taught by Richard Grove. And the Autonomy Primer will cover all the details that you need to know to make an informed decision and find out if autonomy is right for you. Our guest tonight is Steven Rorick. He is an Autonomy Season 12 graduate. He will be interviewed by Jerry Tappan, a Season 7 graduate. And you can take it away, Jerry. Welcome.
Thanks, James. That was a great introduction. Steven, it's good to have you here. So welcome to Autonomy Quest. I'm going to do a brief interview with Steven, as James mentioned, and then we will answer your questions about our experiences in autonomy. All right, so Steven, in what ways were you stuck in life before joining autonomy?
Very good evening. Thank you so kindly for having me this evening. So that's a big question about being stuck in life, right? So I mean, there's a lot to encompass there. To try to put that into organizational words, right? So I'm highly skilled. I mean, I have done a lot of different things, highly skilled, but kind of shy, right? So I even though that so mechanics, ranching, cannabis, liquor distilling, all kinds of stuff, right? I have a lot of high skill sets. And being shy has always kind of led to shying away from people, of course. And so even though I'm very good at producing products, I've always been a little bit lacking in the sales aspect of life. And I never really did want to be in sales, right? Because of the connotation of a used car salesman. So overcoming that thought process is one of the things that kind of started to this transformation of actually figuring out what stuck is, right? What part of what I was doing. So when you're highly skilled and I'm pretty successful too. I've been able to do anything that I ever wanted to do. I normally work for myself. I worked with my mom and dad for a long time on the family ranch. When my mom passed away, then we kind of retired from that, and that's kind of when I went into some of the other businesses I have. But I guess really one of the things talking about stuck would have to be my shyness and my lack of wanting to reach out to other people. And it's kind of a strange thing where some of the times, I mean, once I get to know somebody, I'm not shy at all, right? And it's not necessarily, it's just a strange thing, and it has to do a lot with what we've been taught. And for anybody out there, right, that's considering the autonomy course, one of the main things that you would learn is how that you've been manipulated through education. And so in my life, the stuckness part for me was the shyness that would never let me actually reach out to someone and have a good relationship, which, I mean, nothing in this world happens till something sells. So that's a key critical part of life in that interaction between human beings. And the way that I was taught from the education system, right? I never put that together, that you need people skills to try to create the sales, even if it isn't, like, what Richard says, sales is a high value problem solving skill set. So that whole, how I was taught, shyness, lack of sales, really kind of would be where I was stuck in life.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want you to learn about sales, but luckily here in autonomy, we learn about that a lot. So, how did autonomy help you put your dream into action?
Autonomy helped me kind of put my dream into action by understanding some of the problems, the underlying problems that existed within my psyche. So, I mean, like I said, highly capable and highly skilled, man. I mean, I can figure out almost anything in the whole world, exceptional mechanic, all that kind of stuff. So, being able to figure stuff out has always been real easy, right? So to be able to it's like, 90% of the puzzle, or maybe even almost 100% of the puzzle, but maybe you just had the steps mixed up. And so that's really what autonomy has done, was kind of provide the groundwork and the protocol, the procedure that you need to use to get to a specific point.
I love that answer because maybe if you have the steps, the procedure in correct order, you can knock them out quicker. So, how did autonomy help you to face your fears and show up for yourself?
Autonomy helped me face my fears because the cost is, I mean, it's a decent little bite, right? I mean, wouldn't say that it's overwhelming or overbearing, but it is substantial. And so the cost itself, I told myself, okay, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to pay this amount of money, then I'm going to get everything I can out of this. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to break out of my comfort zone, right? Instead of being shy and holding back, right? I just tried to tell myself I'm going to be the first one to try to talk on the questions and answers. I'm going to try to be as proactive as I can. I'm going to try to just put myself out there, even though I don't want to. And after I did that, then it wasn't no big deal.
You were triggering your complexity, and because of that, we got to know you, and we love you for that. So, what did you learn from the autonomy system for sales?
So on the sales aspect, come to find out, once I learned that sales is high value problem solving, then that fit right in with what my mind already is, right? I mean, I'm already a problem solver, mechanic, uh, distillation, all this kind of stuff is problem solving. So understanding that sales is actually just problem solving, helping someone else with something that they need, really kind of explained it in a way that it's like, oh, well, I already understand a big part of this. So, I mean, this is really an easy transition.
Yeah, it's almost, I want to say, it's almost common sense that helping others is the right way, I suppose. And here in autonomy is where we put those skills into action. So, talking about that, how does that help you with creating your offers to the world?
Well, so it's back to the procedure, right? So autonomy will show you how to create an offer, how not necessarily create out of thin air, right? Because I mean, most of the time you sort of have the intuition or the vision inside your mind already, but it's the procedure that you go about to get the steps and the building blocks to make an offer.
Right, and then you talked about how you have this mechanic mindset. Do you see any offering out there that you can put out?
Yeah, so I actually I have like so many different things that I'm working on. Um, it's really the procedural process of going through the steps to get something prepared to make an offer. So once you go through the basis, step one, step two, once you cover all these bases, then you actually have a product that's ready to go to make an offer with that product, no matter what it is. In my opinion, it's a mechanical effect. It's step one, step two, step three. Do this to it, wrap this with a big red bow, then bam, you got a product that you are feel confident to bring to the market and offer.
Yeah, I like that about the big red bow because yes, you can have the product, but you want to add a little bit of excellence to it. So describe the autonomy community.
The autonomy community is great. Everyone is friendly, open-minded, supportive, caring, willing. I mean, they're all of that stuff. There's even though we're diverse, right? I mean, there's quite a bit of diversity between the people that are in autonomy and their skill sets. It's still, in my opinion, kind of cut from the same cloth. From what I've found, most of us are all sort of on that same path of knowledge. Seeking knowledge really is what it is. So the community itself to me is fantastic.
I love that answer, Stephen, that we're all seeking knowledge here. We're cut from the same cloth. The learning never stops. So, what was it like working with Richard?
So Richard is a real class act. I haven't seen many people in my experience that has the capabilities that Richard has. I mean, he's so graceful and he's so knowledgeable. That's really one of the things that brought me into autonomy, um, was his podcast, The Grand Theft World. And so watching him do the Grand Theft World and with the brain, computational brain software that he uses to organize these thought processes and all this stuff, it was just so fascinating. And I told myself, I got to see. I've been looking for something for a long time, and I've went down a lot of different avenues. And like I said, man, I'm pretty sharp myself, so most everything I can figure out on my own. But I just felt like I had this glitch in the back of my brain that I couldn't really address or figure out. And I thought, well, if anybody can figure it out, I'm going to let Richard see if he can be the one to figure it out.
Were there any of those glitches that were figured out during the course?
Yes, definitely. So there was two main glitches that I came to the conclusion of. One of them had to do with goals. So for me, in the world that I came from, I mean, I don't want to sound stereotypical or whatever, but manly man, right? Tough, right? I mean, tractors, cows, getting run over. I mean, just very dangerous stuff, right? So tough, right? I mean, I'm a tough guy. And so the goals to me were like kind of a sissy word, right? It's a weak, to me, a goal was a weak thing to even. I'm not the kind of a guy that's going to get a goal, right? I'm the kind of guy that's just going to do stuff. I mean, I don't need a goal. I already did it. I have the t-shirt and the book, right? But after a certain amount of time, I think it was probably around week 6 or 7, it kind of dawned on me of, oh, well, a goal is not this stereotypical idea of this word that you had in your mind, this preconceived planted concept of what a goal was, right? Instead of thinking that it was weak, I finally had determined that a goal was actually, it's just a procedure, right? It's a statement that says this is what I want to succeed at, or this is what I want to get done. And once I kind of got by that, that really helped quite a bit. And then the second part of the breakthrough of the glitch for me was the close. So all of the stuff within the sales, the you know, the introduction, the repertoire, or the repo, can't think of the exact word there, you know, getting to know somebody a little bit, the agenda, all of this stuff. So I've already, my mind already worked in like the first 7 or 8 steps of sales, but I never did have the close, right? So this whole close mechanism, how you ask someone for the close, that was like, I have all this stuff on one page, and this is what I've known my whole life. And then I turn the page, and then here's like part number 8 about the close. And it's like, oh man, that's the part I've been missing this whole time. So it was a total disconnect for me. It just, I never did understand or realize what it was until the right week, what I think week 8 in 7 or 8, somewhere in there, about the sales, about the close. And I was like, oh, so that's the part that was the glitch for me, was that I knew the first however many steps, 6, 7, 8 steps of sales, then the close was like a whole different, it's almost like it was in a whole different book on the other side of the library. So once I kind of put that together, then that was what the glitch was.
Yeah, that seems profound. And when you recognize that goals maybe are useful to achieving our, I guess, our dreams, when did you realize that?
Well, I actually realized that maybe a week or 2 before the close, but like I said, it was just, you know, and it was an epiphany. It just kind of happened all of a sudden because, you know, when they'd say goals, right? And especially writing stuff down, right? I'm not, I'm trying to work at it, but it's just not my personality, right? I'm out on the ranch and I'm on the tractor, right? I don't have time to write stuff down. I'm busy doing stuff that doesn't include writing goals down. So I'm working on it, but so like what I do now, most of the time when I write a goals will be my daily goals. And really it's just a list of accomplishments that I want to do that day, and a reminder so that I don't forget what I'm doing. Because you know, I sometimes get busy and then get caught up, and I, you know, I forget stuff.
It's a good way to knock out your day-to-day tasks. So congratulations, Stephen, on graduating. I'll open up the floor to anyone that wants to ask Stephen any questions.
Good work out, Stephen. Was there a point in your journey when you wanted to quit on yourself?
Oh no, no. I mean, a guy gets frustrated and wonders why or what it's worth, but where I come from and what I do, I mean, a guy might have to stand back and take a breath before you go at it again. But as far as giving up, that was never an option.
That's good. That says a lot about your work ethic and your experience and your history, because younger people definitely would encounter hardship and think about giving up. Whereas like as we get older, we just get used to it.
Right?
It's just how it is. Push harder.
Push harder. Yeah, get a bigger hammer.
I had a question for you, Stephen. Nice to see you again.
Leaf's
Leaf here.
pleasure. Yes, sir.
With your new skill set you've got, can you give me an example of what you may have done recently to help any one of your parts of your businesses?
Yep. So one of my in my cannabis business in particular, we're making these high dollar custom blunts, and so I'm actually going to Miami next weekend to meet up with a bunch of the WNBA Women's National Basketball Association players to sell them these products. And so probably before the autonomy, I might have been too shy, and I might have just told myself, well, it'll work out. I don't know that I necessarily need to do that. And you know, it's a uncharted territory for me. I think I'll fit right in and everything will be fine. But that extra confidence of understanding the process of sales and what sales really is, and you know, the confidence of the product that we have, and confidence in myself altogether will make a better offer to the market.
Fantastic. Having that confidence to take more risks, and the ability to know how to manage the risks that the collateral damage from those risks, right?
Right.
Nice.
The way we kind of look at it is to try to mitigate your risk entirely, you're not going to be able to grow or make a move, right? That's what lawyers do. They tell you all the risks, and it's very restricting, right? So we need to encounter risk on a more regular basis, but we're going to encounter lower risk overall, because we're not going to try to encounter it all at once. So we're going to do some learning, some education. We're going to try something. We're going to learn from that. We're going to integrate that. We're going to improve. The typical place where, like, I was just implementing this with a buddy of mine who's launching it's a new deodorant company. It's called Sinless deodorant. It's all natural stuff. And so I was taking them through like how to advertise on Rumble, and it's a whole iterative learning process, because you don't know what the cost per 1,000 clicks is in the marketplace at any given time. So you kind of have to be willing to take a risk, but instead of risking $5,000 at once, let's play with $50 and see what happens. Oh, we just learned this. Let's risk another $50. And it's like your own little casino, but you have a high degree of control, and you're getting feedback loops that you're building upon. So I might have encountered risk in those type of activities, 50 times in an hour, but they're all risks that I'm comfortable with, that I designed. I say, I want to spend this much over this much time and show this thing that clicks here. All these sort of things come together. If I'm scared to take that risk and find out and integrate the learning on the other side, then I just stifle my own growth, and that becomes learned helplessness, where people don't think they can outgrow the challenges and obstacles in front of them. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Rock on.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Richard, I think that's really, really key there, because, that whole, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm scared, right? If you can limit that, like what you just said, limit that risk, limit that fear, limit that scaredness to just a little bit where that you can handle it. And then once you make a couple steps, then you get a little more confidence. Then pretty soon you can take a bigger bite, not as scared, bigger bites and more confidence, and then ultimately success.
And then the other thing you could do is to balance it, right? So let's say you have some trepidation, we'll call it. We don't want to say it's fear about like going and doing this thing and making your pitch, right? But you might have some concerns, some trepidation, things that cross your mind, right? You can either choose not to weigh all the what ifs and just be present to respond thoughtfully in the situation, or you can choose to weigh all those what ifs, but every time you come up with a negative one, you weigh it with a positive. They could tell me no, or they could tell me yes. Variety of nuance in any of those types of feedback loops. So you can weigh it, you can dismiss it as arbitrary, but just don't let yourself get psyched out, because that's the job of your enemy. Your opponent is supposed to psych you out. We're not supposed to psych ourselves out, right? But it's like, it's a cycle of fear. So I don't know, in a couple of weeks, I have a new presentation that fear is optional that I just finished for an Acapulco, and I'll get to screen that. But that's some of the gist from there. It holds us back from a lot of things that we don't even recognize can be accomplishments. And that's the real opportunity cost that we don't even see yet. But you see it when you're on the other side, right? Like, Steven, if you had put off this decision for another 5 years or something, right? what would be going on, not what just happened, right?
Not what just happened, that's for certain. Yeah, who knows what it would have been, but it wouldn't have been like it is now. That is for certain.
Who else has questions for Steven, other than asking him for samples of his liquor? I'm guessing most people are still eating dinner.
I just want to say
They're on
that,
listening mode.
yeah, for me, I'm trying to think what I'm scared of currently, and I can't really think of anything. So I think I'm too comfortable. I need to write down some hard achieving goals for me to trigger my complexity.
I mean, what at the talent show you juggled, and what did you explain while you were juggling?
Pythagoras theorem.
Yeah, Pythagoras' theorem. All right, so that was triggering your complexity, and if you had to do any karaoke in the past week, that also triggers complexity sometimes.
Actually, I sent Leah the karaoke request.
The gears are in motion then. All right, so Steven, when you came on to Autonomy, did you feel intimidated that there were other people here who had been through the course before you, or did you choose to see that as a way that you could be empowered by their experience? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, is it better for the upcoming class to just have, you know, themselves to talk with, or is it severely helpful to have guidance from graduates who have been there and done that and answer your questions and things like that?
It's in my opinion, Richard, it's very helpful to have someone there that's already been through there. And I guess this is kind of like, being we're all on the same team, so to speak, or the same path. Like, you know, if you drop something and then I happen to see you dropped it and I picked it up and you would have never known the difference, but I pick it up and hand it to you, then I benefit because it makes me feel good, but you benefit too, because then you have what you missed, you have that back in your possession. So there is a lot of benefit there from people that have already been through and have a little experience, because we're all going in the same direction. Now, if it was extreme competition, then maybe that wouldn't be the case. But being that's not the case, being we're all on the same team here, we're all with the same end goal, which is success and happiness, then it makes perfect sense to me. And I will say this, that it's been nice to get a little breather in between, but I'm definitely looking forward to going through season 13 to absorb more of this information. So I was able to absorb a lot of the information the first go around, but memorizing it and implementing it all is like, I don't know how smart you'd have to be to understand everything that you teach and remember it and apply it all at once. Like, I don't know who that would be, but they would be a superhuman. So
yeah, that's who I designed it for. So everyone else would be satisfied and think it was challenging.
So I'm looking forward to going through it again, because I got so much good out of it, but I know that it's kind of like, once you get through one page, you can go to the next page and then the next page after that. But if you read the third page before the first page, it wouldn't have made no sense. So
yeah,
it's steps.
Well, and I like, your feedback is congruent from your side with what I saw from my side, insofar as having the graduates interact with the current season of new students gives the graduates confidence, because now they know they've grown. They're not the new student anymore. They have been there and done that. They went through and they didn't quit on themselves, and they're coming back for more. And in the first couple of seasons, season 1 graduated, they went to the graduate clubhouse. Season 2 came in, they had their entire season. Then they meet the graduates after they graduate, and then they're all on the common level having been graduates together, right? But they just goof off and share memes, and it's hilarious. But it's like, you know, some take graduation as like finished instead of going to the next level, right? So many years ago, we said, let's have the graduates keep going through, since they're going to keep going through. Like some students are coming up on their 13th time through, and they've grown all along the way. It's not because they can't do the thing. I think it's beneficial to the experience. I just want to make sure it wasn't like overwhelming for new people coming in, because having done this for so long, I still need to like, hey, what's the weather out there in Normie land? Are we giving them a good, like, what do they call it? I was watching submarine movies last night, and when they have to couple the skirt, they have to equalize the pressure before they can go from the mini submarine into Red October. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like, we need to create that low pressure area, but if it's too low pressure and they're coming in from too high a pressure, it's not comfortable, right? So it's like we're trying to always keep the oasis at the right climate for whatever like storm people are seeking to shelter from. That's my metaphors. I'm
equalization there, buddy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. The only, especially if somebody has a little more of an outgoing personality, I would say that would especially be true, right? If you're willing to, if it's easy for you to get along with people and easy to make friends or whatever, I think it's way more beneficial. It might be a little overwhelming to someone that's shy, reserved, unconfident, all of that stuff. It might put a little bit of pressure on them, but that's really what we need too, right? Because you're not going to get where you want to go by walking the most easiest path. I mean, simple is great, but at some point you kind of have to get out of your comfort zone to get up to the next level, and that's just the way things are.
Yeah, I'd say there's students like Anne, and she has come to like every time I've gone into the sales workouts on Tuesday night, she's there till like midnight or so with the rest of them. And a lot of people, or her experience level, they're checked out. They're not growing. They're not challenging themselves. And she definitely finds the challenge in it. But she shows like she doesn't quit on herself, and she keeps trying, and she's been improving the whole time. And I think that just says a lot about her, that she's just still thirsty for growth, and she can still do it. And I think that's a very healthy way to live in those experience years, instead of watching Bob Barker and Price is Right.
No, I totally agree with you on that, Richard. Anne is she's a wonderful person. She actually was in my mastermind, so I got to meet with her in different realms besides just on the sales training too. But to watch her grow, right? I mean, when we first started doing stuff, she was always there on the Friday nights and this and that, but like she was really reserved and I wouldn't say scared, but just reserved, right? She didn't want to reach out and really get to going, but halfway through or a little farther through, she began to feel comfortable, and she got some confidence, and she began to, you could see the smile on her face, and so yeah, she quite a transformation.
Yeah, it's kind of like your transformation, but you could see it in her and you can't see it in yourself. So I was just, let you know that growth that you notice in your classmates also happened in you. And I want to make sure that you have full ownership over that, and that, you're embracing that as you lean into making your offer on a new area, right? Because winning awards at distillery contests and that sort of thing is not what you're about to do, but it's similar, right? Similar mechanics in the methodology of how to get something done.
Indeed.
I have a question for Steven.
Hi, Lolly.
Hi. So my question is, what part of autonomy had the most impact in your life? Was it the lectures, the sales exercises, and how did that impact you?
Well, it was probably the lecture. The sales exercises were fantastic too. I actually kind of missed. I was hanging in there really good, and I ended up having some stuff come up, and I missed the last two sales exercises. But Phoenix is a great guy and understands that stuff, and fun to be around, so it makes it easier to learn. But probably the thing that helped me the most, or that I learned the most from, was actually the lecture. It, I mean, there's just so much information, and fortunately for me, right, I already it, it's like it wasn't anything new for me, right? It's like I already knew it in the back of my head, kind of like what we were talking with Jerry there about the steps. It's like, well, I already know I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but maybe I had 5 and 3 mixed up, right? So I have this mess of stuff. So once I got it sorted back out into the proper order, then it was like, oh, duh, duh. And so, yeah, I would say that it was probably the lecture. One of the things that really kind of blew my mind, I tried to go through, and so I actually signed up in July. And so I had a couple months of lead time there before season 12 actually started. So I did my best. I was going to try to go through all the courses, but I got to the one where Alex Newman was talking about Common Core, and where only 50% of the people know how to read, and it smashed me upside the head with a hammer. I didn't get any farther than that. Once I got to that one interview with Alex Newman, it was just my jaw hit the ground, and I mean it took weeks and months to recover from that shock. It's like I kind of already knew it, but it's kind of like what's going on with the Department of the Government Efficiency, like right now, right? We know that they've been fleecing us, but we just didn't realize how bad. And so that the lecture, I guess, Holly, would be what was the biggest tool for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw Bill Soul unmute earlier. Bill, did you have a question? If not, what about you, James?
Yeah, Steven, how are you? I'm wondering what the features that attracted you the most to autonomy were.
To be quite honest, James, I've really already had my mind made up through Richard's interaction with Grand Theft World. His personality, his mindset, his demeanor, all of that, I really already had my mind made up, watching him, studying him, listening to him. That already made my mind up before I ever really got into the blueprint call. And Holly did my blueprint call, and I think she would agree that I was a pretty easy sale, right? I mean, I already had in my mind that I was going to do it. And not to take anything away from autonomy at all, but really what made my mind up from the very start was Richard and his demeanor and his personality.
After having joined autonomy and gotten more interaction with Richard, did it live up to your expectations?
Oh, definitely. Richard is a class act, man, especially after he was so gracious to explain his whole battle with the NSA and all of that stuff.
And earlier you mentioned shyness and sort of that introversion that a lot of people deal with. What types of events did you participate in that really helped you with that epiphany moment, that click, like, oh, now the pieces are fitting together, and I'm breaking free from that?
To tell you the truth, James, it's an ongoing struggle. I still find myself kind of falling back into that mindset. So for me, it's actually it's forcing myself to do it. it wasn't like, well, I learned this, and so now the problem has went away. The problem is still there for me. I have this tendency to just kind of close up and withdraw. So but it's I guess it's the knowing or the understanding of what's going on, of why that's happening. Then I'm able to override that and say, come on, man. I mean, put your big boy pants on. It's not that big a deal, right? All these people are here for the same reason why you're here, is that we want to have a good life, we want to be happy, and we want to be successful. There's nobody here in autonomy that's trying to take anything from anyone else. And that's really how it goes for me. I mean, I still have to struggle and deal with it. And it's not that big a deal, but I maybe in a few years that it'll go away. But just like at the grocery store, a lot of the times I would just kind of look down and walk past someone. Now I kind of try to make it an effort to just look someone in the eye and smile. I mean, I know they can't hurt me. They'd be foolish to try, right? So it's a strange mechanism, how our brain works, and how we build up these illusions in our own mind of our perception of reality. And that's really what it is. When you're building up this perception that why would you look down when you could look someone in the eye and smile? And where that came from, I suppose that through education and life on this planet. But so yeah, to answer your question there, I mean, learning what has happened is the biggest takeaway for me, and learning that this is why it's happening. It's me. It's not anybody else, right? Doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. Just has to do with me. And so continually working on that. What do we say? You got to show up for yourself. And that's what I noticed. If anything goes astray for me, it's because I didn't show up for myself. I basically had a dull moment, or decided that I wanted to take a break, or whatever kind of, I won't say an excuse, but a reason behind why a guy decided that he didn't want to hit the iron while the, what do they say, strike the hammer while the iron is hot, I guess, right? To keep on just constantly being successful, right? It takes a specific mindset to be successful, and it really has to do with, it's all in your own mind.
No, you're mentioning accountability and integrity, and we like to talk about the culture of excellence for a minute. What's your take on the culture of excellence? How do you see that in the inner workings of autonomy?
I think it's a great thing, for one. I mean, it's a shame that we ever got to a place that we're at, that the culture of excellence is not the norm. That's the way that I feel about it. I mean, we're fighting, like what I do with the podcast that I have, fighting on the level, trying to hold these government officials accountable. And the biggest part of it that they don't have is they don't have any ethics, right? They don't have that badge of excellence. They don't strive to be excellent. They just strive to do whatever it is they've done. And most of the time, we all know that it has to do with just money, right? People just roll over when they get paid. So the culture of excellence in this community it's great, man. I mean, everybody, like I said, it's just disappointing that it's so thrilling on one hand to be involved and to know that it does exist and that we participate actively in it. But like I said, on the other hand, it's a little bit disappointing to me for the human race of why the culture of excellence is not the norm.
And finally, you mentioned earlier your mastermind group. For anyone that's here that doesn't know what those are all about, would you just give a brief description of what a mastermind is within autonomy?
Sure, you bet. Yeah, so a mastermind within autonomy would be a weekly meeting that's hosted or run by a previous graduate. There's 6 members plus the host, so there would be 7 members total. And it's just an exercise to build up on things, right? Number one, it kind of cuts the group down, right? So you can begin to get more intimate or more close to the people in your community. Shout out to Bill. Bill was in my mastermind. I appreciate him every second, all the time. He's a great guy. But that mastermind gives you a chance to where you can break it down. You can get on an individual basis. They spend enough time with you that, you get put in the hot seat. So there's really no wallflower, so to speak. I mean, they're going to kind of push your envelope there of what you're used to doing. Some people don't have any problem at all, but some people, that takes a few times, and once they see their classmates or their fellow masterminders going through this, and the pain points they have, the struggles that we have to put this stuff together and to organize it and execute it, that really, I think, probably helps some people with their confidence level later on. People that go 4th or 5th or 6th. There's a reason why the people don't raise their hand is because they don't want to. I mean, they have a certain factor there of why they're not wanting to reach out right away and take the bull by the horns. And that mastermind kind of gives you that. It gives you that confidence to see how other people are doing it. It gives an example how other people are going about their lives, how that we all actually relate. It's really a helpful tool in beginning to get more traction in the autonomy course, because you're practicing on a one-on-one with your mastermind leader and with the group secondary, but that one-on-one interaction kind of just gives you more confidence and more experience and all that stuff to further your skill set.
All right, I'm going to pull a Casey Kasem. We got a letter from the audience here. RP wants to know, he says, "Hey, Steven, it sounded like your biggest obstacle was putting your offer out there and learning to close a sale. How are you applying your newly acquired sales experience? Are you going to direct your customers or applying these new skills toward working with retailers, maybe a combo?" And he's got another question after that. So, how are you applying your newly acquired sales experience, Steven?
One of the biggest things for me on my recently acquired sales experience is understanding what sales is, number one, right? When you understand that you're solving someone else's problem rather than just trying to get money out of a product, for me, that's all the difference in the world. So I'm going to use my sales experience this time to, we have this high-end, super high-end, man. That's why, this is invite only professional athletes that are in this club, the Euphoria Blunt Club, right? So, it's it's invitation only. You can only get in this unless you're invited. So that whole sales thing is giving me the confidence to understand that what I do is I have a product that's helping someone else out, right? For these superstars, they don't like to go and hunt the product up themselves. They don't want to be seen at the places where that you would acquire these kind of products. They don't have the time to do all that stuff. They don't have the time to prepare it themselves, right? So I'm filling a lot of needs with this product that I offer. And so that's kind of, I guess that it's kind of it in a nutshell. The main thing though is understanding that sales for me, the biggest thing for sales for me is understanding that it's a high value problem solver instead of trying to just sell a product.
His second part of the question was, are you going to direct your customers or applying these new skills toward working with retailers, maybe a combo?
So I guess in this particular, and so I have many different things that I do, but in this particular one that I'm talking about with the blunts, I guess I really am the retail storefront or sales face, right? I mean, we have a really nice website put together. Like I said, invitation only. If you happen to stumble onto it, unless you have the passcodes, you can't get into it. But that, the retail, that I guess the retail, that is the retail. It all goes through the website. Auto ship is a big part of it, the discounts for auto ship. So I guess I'm trying to go and make some initial sales face to face, and then I'm hoping that the product will also speak for itself as well. So I don't know if that answers that question that well or not, but that's kind of.
And he had a third question. Is online marketing less important than one-on-one conversations, or are you also creating videos of yourself promoting your products and offers?
Yeah, so that's something that we definitely learned about. One-on-one is great. I mean, that's how you make that long-lasting relationship, but you can't get the sales or the number of interactions that you need one-on-one. That's why internet marketing today is so prolific. I mean, with these sale funnels, all the stuff that Autonomy teaches you how to create this online marketing, you can reach thousands and tens or hundreds of thousands of people, depending on how you want to set that up in your budget for advertiser, clicking and your budget and all of that stuff. So while I think that on face to face is a highly valuable skill, I don't think that there's any way that you can ever get to the numbers or the amount of volume that you can with online. And I think that's just the ecosystem in itself of how the transformation of the human species from, old, just for instance, the car salesman, right? I mean, he used to have to go deal with a used car salesman. Now you can just get on Carvana or whatever and pick it out, and it just shows up at your door, right? You don't have to even deal with anybody there. So that whole online thing has really transformed the market space. So I think that that's really important, probably more important than the one-on-one aspect, but yet that one-on-one gives you that personalized aspect that and confidence to back up the product maybe that you have online.
Very good. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to pop in and ask. Or I can keep asking questions. I got tons of them.
What more questions do you have, James?
I kind of wanted to hear Steven's take on the lifetime enrollment and if this aspect that's offered in the course helped ease his mind at all. I'm a big fan of working at one's own pace instead of trying to, keep up with the rat race. So I wanted to pick Steven's brain about the lifetime enrollment.
Thanks, James. The lifetime enrollment, I think, is one of the greatest things that the Autonomy course has to offer because it's so in depth, like we were speaking earlier, right? For someone to understand everything that there is in the Autonomy course and to I'm going to say memorize, for lack of a better word, understand and apply everything that's in Autonomy. I mean, you are going to have to be a supercomputer. And my mind, the way that my mind works is I'm not good at memorization, right? I'm good at figuring stuff out. So I can figure something out and then I'll completely figure out how I did it. Or completely, I just forget. And then 3 days later, it's like, well, how did you do that? And so I kind of have to go through the process again of understanding the mechanics of what it takes to solve that problem. I don't remember how I did it. So for me, the lifetime autonomy, it means everything because I mean, even as hard as and I didn't maybe do as much as I actually could have. Like I said, I missed a few Friday night lectures with some stuff that came up, and I missed the last two sales meetings and stuff. So I mean, I didn't get 100% on all the stuff that I wanted to do, but I absorbed about all I could really understand, and then ponder and reflect and learn. But this next time around, right? I mean, I'm super excited to go through it again, because I just know that there's so much stuff that the transformation that I've already taken and where I've learned now, I just know that there's a whole lot more to the course and the community. There's just so much more there than a guy can absorb in one shot. That's the whole thing. And you don't have to worry about it either. I mean, if you get behind, life happens to all of us. And fortunately for me, I mean, being I'm self-employed, I was able to kind of come and go as I choose, right? So I was able to, I don't have to work at 9 to 5 jobs. So I'm able to go to the lectures when I want to, and go to these other weekly events that, if you had particular time constraints, you might not be able to engage with those. So the fact of the matter that it's a lifetime project is it's magnificent and majestic, man, because you just can't get around it all at once. And to be rushed is maybe almost as bad as anything, in my opinion, right? If you're focused on, oh, I'm falling behind, then you're really not probably getting everything out of it that you should be if you were on the front part of that wave instead of the back part. So yeah, it's a great thing.
Do you have any more questions, James?
I mean, honestly, we could be here all night with all the questions I can come up with, or that I have,
Give him another one.
For me personally, autonomy has helped me in my personal life, not just in, sales and marketing and the sorts of skills in that realm. I'm wondering if you have anything with friends or family that autonomy's helped you kind of overcome, or so anything like that.
A little bit. I mean, not super much. Like I said, a lot of the stuff in autonomy, it's almost like I'd already heard it before, that I already knew it inside my brain. I just needed it to be confirmed. So there wasn't anything that was like, oh, I've been doing this all wrong, right? There wasn't no huge big changes for that, like that for me. It's just these subtle changes. And being kind, I used to have I mean, it still slips out once in a while, but maybe I can get upset and frustrated. And once it gets going, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire, right? Once I get irritated in that negative self-talk, right? Once I get started feeding into that, I'm not a good person at all, right? I get vicious to myself more than anything, right? Condemning to myself. And so that's one of the biggest things for me, is to just, and I know better than that, but still it pops up, right? It's life. We get caught up in whatever it is. And so being a kinder person, I guess, is really what it amounts to. I mean, an old friend of mine, he used to tell me, it costs no more to be happy. And that really makes sense, because understanding what the community is about, keeping control of yourself, right? Controlling yourself, especially in times of peril, right? When stuff gets bad, that's really, that's when a guy really needs to begin to pay attention. When it's easy sledding, then when a guy's happy and everything's going fine, it really doesn't matter. It's when stuff gets nasty and you need to be careful what you're doing. That's, I guess, when it really comes through. So did it really change my whole life? Am I a whole lot better person? No, but it gave me that affirmation of what I already know is the way to be. So that's really what it's kind of how it's affected my personal life.
Very nice. That
Let me
does
ask
it for my
a question.
questions. What do you got, Barry?
We've talked a couple times. I'm interested in if that's had some lasting influence, especially since I would really look forward to you joining an advisory group with me to put further the this whole project of the knowledge hierarchy. And so just curious what your thoughts are about that.
Well, Barry, it's a pleasure to speak with you again, man. I much respect for anybody that's listening. Barry has a process that he's developed that, in my mind, is monumental in the concept of how people operate and think or whatever. And so it has to do with words, but it also is, in my mind, is directly related to numbers. So these words have a mathematical formula for the way that they add up. And so, like we were talking at one point, I mean, there's 21,000, correct me if I'm wrong, Barry, 21,000 different words within this ecosystem that you have that you could actually apply to one single question. So,
True. That's right.
so I mean, if you can't get the answer out of 21,000 questions, you must not be asking the right questions. So yeah, it's a magnificent thing you have, Barry, and I'd be more than happy to play any role I can with you.
Terrific.
Just let me know, bud, when you're going to get going again, or when you want to talk or anything like that.
All right, sure. Well, I've been working like crazy. I keep getting locked out of my database that I want to get up with all those numbers, all those categories. They got to be in a database, and I loaded it up 3 times now, and then somehow I got locked out. So I got to do that again. I'm hoping I can find Olivia Baruman. She said she'd help me with figuring out some of those problems. Anyway,
Sure.
But I have one other thing having to do with Richard, because I got a email yesterday from a guy he knows. His name is Foster Gamble. And Foster Gamble had some nice words about Richard. So let me say here, quoting Foster, he said, "Barry, congratulations on completing the autonomy program. I have seen others very empowered by it, and I have great respect for Richard Grove." Just thought that might be good to add.
Very nice words.
Hi, Steven. How are you?
Hi, Leah.
So I'm hearing you talk about integrating into other people's projects and being a part of the community. And I think that is something that people really need to kind of get a grip on, the enrichment in the community. So could you talk a little bit about the events that you go to, the people that you meet, the networking, and how that's been for you?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So the autonomy events are very in-depth and very fulfilling, right? I mean, there's a huge amount of knowledge transferred within these events, and there's so many facets that are involved, right? So one of the things that Mr. Mike Nimitz invited me to when I first got started was the real estate investment think tank. And so I'm a part of that group. There's actually not very many people in that group on Monday nights. I actually had some stuff come up here on Monday night that I missed that one, but that's been one of the only meetings on Monday nights that I've missed this whole entire time. Of course, there's normally an event of some kind every night of some sort, whether it has to do with, Doc Rock and the grab bag stuff that he presents with the movies, the lectures, the questions and answers, the Do It Live podcasting stuff. I'm sure that I'm missing all kinds of different, but there's so many activities that really, no matter what your personality is, you should be able to find something that will spur your intellectual growth and your, the friendship with other people, like-minded people. I mean, that's one of the biggest things about this whole. For me, I'm used to doing stuff on my own. It's the way that it's always been since I was a little kid. Out on the ranch, right? You don't holler for somebody to come help you because there's nobody there. So you have to take care of business. That's the good thing about this community is kind of, and that's another thing that I kind of tried to reorganize in my mind, is that I don't have to do it all by myself all the time. Looking at a project like Barry has, I'm like, wow, something that's that magnificent and that majestic and that's that complex that I can just become a part of and understand. I mean, I already have a pretty good understanding of the outline of it. I'm not saying I understand all the components. I could, at some point I will. It's just mathematics and words, so it's no big deal. It's just a matter of understanding and going through the steps. But there's so many things that are offered within the autonomy community. I mean, all of the separate groups, the homesteading groups, the food preservation, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, all this kind of stuff. I mean, there just really is. If you can't find something that interests you, you may be better look inside and try to reevaluate your mind, because you're probably not giving yourself a fair shake of the stick.
Yeah, it's good to be able to try to show people a glimpse of really what goes on here without being here. So thank you for that. And I have a pro tip for you to help solve one of your problems from my Pro Media course. Ready?
Yes.
When you're working out in the field, when you're working on a project, set up your phone and start your voice recorder and talk. Talk into your voice recorder. Record the process you're using to go through fixing something. Record the idea that you have. And then take that recording, put it on your desktop from your phone. You can connect your phone to your computer with a wire, and then you can put it into a transcription program, and your notes will all be right there for you when you're ready to go collect them. You see? So you don't have to stop and write anything down. You have that already on your phone, and it's a technique that works. I do it. That's how I take all my notes.
That's a fantastic tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you're absolutely amazing, and you've been wonderful, and you're deeply loved here. And, thank you for everything that you contribute.
Thank you.
Those were fantastic questions and answers. So you mentioned getting run over by a tractor. Did that happen to you?
No, not literally. I mean, it's close a couple times. Close. I mean, so I'd literally, I'd get stuck with the bale wagon and I'd have to go get this other huge tractor and I'd push myself. I'd get the tractor started, it would lock up on the back, then I would run around while it's moving and jump in this one and take off and get out of the mud hole, and then have to jump off and jump in this one and get it stopped. So, I mean, luckily nothing ever happened, but there was plenty of chances for it to.
That's tough. So I have a question. Where do you see yourself 2 years from now?
On an island in the Pacific? Maybe. At this point, where do I see myself in 2 years? I would like to be financially stable. I mean, for me, it's kind of been a roller coaster. So I do really well, and then not so well, and then it's kind of been this up and down. I'd like for it to just be up. But other than that, I mean, happiness, right? Success and happiness in peace of mind is really the main thing of what I'm after. That contentment, right? Not comfort, and I don't want to be comfortable and get soft and slack. That's not what I'm talking about. I'd like to be satisfied in my mind, right? So that I'm not at odds with myself. I'm a very high energy, smart individual, so it's easy for me to whip myself. And so if I'm not doing what I think I should be doing, I mean, I can get pretty nasty and to myself, and I'd like to get away completely from all of that. So yeah, have an island in the Pacific that we could go hang out on and enjoy contentment and serenity.
It's kind of what most of us are after here in autonomy, is that constant improving ourselves, happiness, serenity, and that's what makes this community so great, is that we're all striving for positive things. So I think that's what I love about autonomy, is that we're vetted. So it's not anyone can make into the course, and you're around a bunch of people that want to see you succeed. So can you talk about the Q&A a little bit, Steven? How was that for you?
Sure. Yeah. So the question and answers were always fun, very diverse, right? So I mean, sometimes it would have to do with the question and answer of the particular topic that of that week's lecture, but not always, right? I mean, it's not like it's a real rigid structure, right? So, I mean, people will just, whatever kind of questions they had, it might have to do with something kind of personal or maybe business oriented, or quite a bit, or I shouldn't say quite a bit of the time, but a fair number of times, a diverse number of times, that it just had to do with stuff that didn't necessarily entail that week's lecture. But yet Richard is always more than gracious to explain, right? I mean, it's that high value problem solving. I mean, that's what you're doing actually when you're answering someone's question, is you're providing a solution for the problem that they have. So the questions and answers for me were always they're fun. I mean, I tried to participate as much as I could. Like I said earlier in this interview, I normally would hold back and be the last person through the door. But with this whole, I just told myself I'm going to be one of the first ones, and I wasn't always the first one. Fabi a lot of times would beat me to the punch, right? But I would try to be one of the first people. And it's not like that I needed to be the first person or anything, but if it presented itself, I was more than happy to be one of the first people to speak at the question and answers, and appreciate the relationship that Richard and I have developed, and looking forward to that relationship for years to come.
Yeah, I want to talk about my experience with the Q&As after the Friday night lectures, because you have about 50 people in the Q&A, right? As participants, and boom, the Q&A begins, and you kind of have to break the ice, and it's a great way to sort of build up some courage and kind of improve your communication skills. So it's always amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to build up some courage. I mean, you hit it right on the nail right on the head there, because for me, kind of being shy already, it took that, okay, I'm going to do this, right? I don't care whatever you're thinking. Whatever you're thinking has no relevance in here. You are going to do this. So just to get away from that. And then once you did it, it's like, oh, that was easy, right? Why was I freaking myself out over just speaking to someone that I admire and that I respect, and the community of people that are involved?
That was excellent, Steven. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So I'll pass it on to James Cordiner.
Thank you, Jerry. Amazing job. conducting the interview, my friend. Steven, so thankful for you to be here tonight and give your perspective and give your insights on autonomy. Just a second. We have the links in the chat right now for everybody to go over and take the autonomy primer that I mentioned at the beginning, and also to book your blueprint strategy call. So jump on that. And also we have in the chat, we have the 19 essential skills for success, free PDF download for all y'all. And also 3 lectures brought to you by none other than Richard Grove, the mindset lecture series that he's done over the past couple years. And those are all your free gifts for being here at Autonomy Quest this evening. Once again, thank you all for being here. Give you a moment to get those links and get them saved or clicked on or whatever you're going to do with them.
Yeah, that was really amazing. So I really appreciated that. Good job, guys.
This was a lot of fun, Leah. And we'll be back next week, right?
Yeah.
Yep, next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern for the next edition of Autonomy Quest. And we're gearing up for the start of season 13. So I hope to see everyone next week. And until then, again, I want to thank everybody for being here. You've all been so amazing. And we'll see you next time. And just remember, go forward with excellence, people. And hope to see you in the Q&As.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good to see you.
Indeed.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.